It strikes me that this is not a typical college campus if 59% agree with the proposition. So I wish that was the state of American colleges. I don't think it is. So I'm going to argue tonight that capitalism, both from an historical perspective, from an economic perspective, from a theoretical perspective, and from a moral perspective, is the system that leads to human flourishing. And indeed, the socialism destroys human flourishing, destroys human life. And in history, at least those who've advocated for socialism, those socialism that have been tried, but in my view, theoretically this outcome has to be the manifestation of socialism, leads to death, destruction, and poverty. So it leads to the exact opposite of human flourishing. But before we get into the details, and I'm sure during the debate we'll get into a lot of the details and we'll break this down, it's important, I think, to set our terms, to define our terms, what we mean by capitalism, what we mean by socialism. And I'm not sure we're always going to agree on, even up here on stage, never mind in the audience, about what those terms mean. So I'm going to tell you what I think capitalism and socialism mean. So capitalism, in my view, is a system of private property and voluntary exchange. It is a system in which individuals are left free to interact with others as they see fit, where the role of government is the protection of individual rights, rights being the freedoms to pursue your own life, the freedom to pursue your own value using your own reason. That is, it is the freedom, the lack of coercion, the absence of coercion, the absence of force, the absence of a gun in human interaction. Government is there only to protect us from people who would violate our rights. And the only way to violate our rights is through violence, through coercion, through some form of force. So that, to me, is capitalism. Capitalism is the system that enshrines individual liberty, individual freedom, that takes out of society completely violence. Violence is monopolized by the government and can only be used in self-defense to protect. Socialism is a system in which the means of production are owned either by the state or by the workers. That is, that it is a closed system, a system that negates private property. It's a system that negates the idea of individual ownership. Everything is collectivized, and different socialists would collectivize it in different ways through different mechanisms. But it is a system based, in my view, on coercion, on force. It is a system in which if you wanted to start a company, if you wanted to employ people, that would be not allowed. Whereas, for example, in capitalism, if you wanted to start a little commune and share everything, or start a co-op, you're fine. Just compete. You can do that. So socialism is a system of exclusion. It's a system that excludes voluntary interaction. It excludes the idea of private property. And look, we've never had, based on my definition, we've never had a purely capitalist system. We've never achieved it. But the closer we get to it, the closer we align with it, the more successful society is. The richer it is, the wealthier it is, the more freedom individuals benefit from. If you align economic freedom with GDP per capita, which is not the best measure of human well-being, but it's one of the measures we have, there's a clear correlation. The freer you are, the more wealth there is, and the more, I think, flourishing there is. The more entrepreneurial activity there is, the more innovation there is, the more progress there is, the more people are free to pursue their own values in their own ways. The less economic freedom, the less of all of that there is. So as we get closer to an ideal of capitalism, we get more and more of those benefits. I think the opposite is true when we talk about socialism. As we get closer to the ideals that are being put into action in the past, what we get is less economic success, less prosperity, less economic well-being, but we also get real manifestation of human harm in poverty and often in death and destruction. So capitalism is the system of human flourishing. It's really the only system in human history that has led us towards human flourishing. And when we deviate from it, we deviate from the potential to flourish. Thank you.